our speakers will be sharing about the blockchain talent development on academy perspective in creating society, IR 4.0. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome them on stage. First off, I would like to invite Dr. Ridzuan Darun, the COO of University Malaysia Pahang from UMP. Next, I would like to invite, thank you. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Goyal Shyam Bihari, the Dean Faculty of Information Technology at City University. It's great when you guys clap for them, you know, totally appreciate it. Next, I would like to invite Clarence Liew, the Vice President of Development of Elastos. All right, next in line, I would like to invite Mr. Sheng, the founder of TriveAcademy. And I would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Harpreet Singh, the founder of Blocklime. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Dr. Liew Voon Kiong, the CEO of Easywave. Let's get to it.
Nice for the camera. Thanks, man. Okay, everybody seated according to the pictures. So it's usually quite hard to get the afternoon panel talking about talent, and IR 4.0 is usually a lot of buzzwords there. But to simplify, I think maybe we'll just go by introducing ourselves. Maybe we'll start with Dr. Liew.
Thank you, Mr. Harpreet. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are still fresh. All right, I'm a blockchain architect. Now, currently, I'm working on building a solution, a blockchain platform for an incubation hub, known as E3 Hubs. So, as well as building wallet and also a mobile point of sale system for crypto payment. And also, I'm running another company focusing on AI, blockchain, and also IoT solutions, as well as running some educational program, and intend to build also a academy for blockchain. And also we are building a blockchain hub somewhere in overseas, in Philippines, and also in I intend to build in Bangladesh. That's all from me.
Okay, Sheng, you can go next.
Okay, good afternoon. Good evening, actually. So I'm Sheng from TriveAcademy. So TriveAcademy is actually the organization that is actually working on research on talent development on the blockchain side of it. So we are also one of the main maintainer of TriveChain, a public protocol that is actually allows applications and games to be on board. So that is a quick one from me. So I'll pass to Clarence.
Hi, my name is Clarence. I'm the VP of Development for Elastos. We are one of the top 10 ICOs of 2018. We built an Ethereum sidechain that has about 40–50% of Bitcoin's hash power, so we are an Ethereum-based solution. We also have a $50 million DAO fund that we are expanding into about 12 countries, Malaysia being our newest expansion, and we have a team set up here hoping to build on blockchain adoption and education.
Hi, myself Dr. S.B. Goyal, Dean City University, Malaysia. We are offering IT and other courses there. Then we have implemented IR 4.0 technologies in our curriculum, including blockchain. And personally, I am taking big data and blockchain. That's it.
Hi, my name is Ridzuan. I'm the COO of the University Malaysia Pahang. We are a public university in Malaysia. Basically, we have a research team focusing on blockchain, and we have a network comprised of 4 universities across the world, focusing on various areas, and blockchain is one of the areas that we focus.
So as you have heard, we have quite an esteemed panel lineup. But before we proceed, I would definitely like to say a bit about myself as well and about my company. So my name is Harpreet. I run this company called Blocklime. And under our company, we have this initiative of Blocklime Academy. So we've been training developers for 1 year plus now. We have trained over 1,000 developers in Malaysia and over 2,000 plus globally. And other than that, since we are very few of us who are talking about blockchain in the place, everybody you can see is holding multiple positions. So I do as well. So in the talent and ecosystem development phase, I'm under MDEC Digital Expert Panel. I'm one of the ISO members for standards. And I'm also one of the digital counselor for MDEC as well. And other than that, I'm also the ambassador for Hadera Hashgraph and Hyperledger Malaysia. So in this case, we have like a lot of initiatives since last year where we hosted hackathons, dapathons, and we've been training local talent towards building more applications towards blockchain, DLT, and overall the whole IR 4.0. Because we even supported non-blockchain initiatives where we had AI and big data. But slowly we are growing towards a whole IR 4.0, starting from DLT space. So I think we can move on to the first question. So there are a lot of challenges that we actually face when we start building talents in Malaysia and even regionally. But you can get, whenever there's a new industry, you can see that first there's always kind of a pushback. When I started to do blockchain trainings, everybody was like, hey, why are you training this crypto? Is this a scam? Or things like that started to come out towards me. People start asking me questions that, hey, how can I get my Bitcoins back? Or, like, how can I do exchange? But I'm like, no, I'm training blockchain. Like, that's a separate thing. So people could not differentiate between that. And that is one of the big challenges that I face. But I would like to ask the panel as well, maybe start from Dr. Liew. What are the challenges that you face while developing talent here in Malaysia?
When I recently started a blockchain project, I find it very difficult to get qualified blockchain developers, especially in writing smart contracts. So the good ones already employed by somebody, and the not so good one maybe also employed. So it's very difficult to get those qualified ones. I think most of the blockchain developers learn themselves. And then there are not many kind of learning resources on the internet. Even I myself learned on my own. Luckily, I found some very interesting site like EDX. So I got a certificate in Hyperledger from Linux Foundation. So I self-learned. I had to pay to learn. So a lot of learning is from the initiative of the people, of the developers. So we need to have a systematic kind of system to train to develop the young talents. Okay.
I think the real challenge there is whenever you put blockchain on your LinkedIn, your salary just goes 13K, 15K, 20K. Startups cannot afford that. So if like I start hiring 2 to 3 developers on like on that kind of salary, I'll go bankrupt very fast. So I think what about?
Get the mic here. Yeah. Okay. One of the reasons TriveAcademy actually started was because at that point of time, I'm actually working on data science projects. So I do like machine learning, deep learning, and all that. And I have like a few GPUs that I use to actually calculate for my work and all that. And then I realized that this GPU itself can actually make some money by just mining cryptocurrencies. So at that time itself, so I started exploring getting some cryptocurrencies, and that is the first time where I actually get to change it into fiat, and then I'm like, this is something that I can explore. Then from there itself, I started reading more and more and more, and then I started developing. People asked me to join, and then I joined to become one of the open source maintainer of TriveChain. So from there itself, I explore even further because of how TriveChain is a fork of Dash. Then from Dash itself, we learned a little bit that they are also a fork of Bitcoin. So from there, we learned the whole things, how blockchain actually started. But then when I started to talk to my colleague and my friends and all that, they are like, I don't want to go into this kind of scams and all that. But we see the potential that this is something that can work further. So from there I learned, and then I started teaching people. And then after teaching a few people, I get like invited to actually share about blockchain technology. So after a few sharing, then I realized that I need an academy to actually teach people how this technology works, how the philosophy is different from this philosophy is different from what we already learned in computer science, but actually the underlying technology is the same as computer science. So we still have the cryptography behind, we still have, nothing is new in blockchain, just that the philosophy of how to build things has changed. But the other things are still the same. So from there itself, started exploring into crypto and also blockchain. But now I'm focusing much more on blockchain as in building applications, use cases on top of blockchain, and instead of just training people on how to use blockchain technology and not just on the crypto side, because we believe it is beyond financial.
Clarence?
Great, yeah. Totally back up Harpreet here. The challenge is really separating blockchain, cryptocurrency. I'm actually the foil here because I'm from the US, and you guys are doing way better than the US in terms of blockchain talent development. Harpreet was saying, joking, don't say that. You don't want to, Malaysians would like to be in first place, but I'm very impressed with the actual development here and support from the government and blockchain development. But definitely when I go to schools in the US, people don't know what blockchain is. You have to explain to them why blockchain is important, why decentralization is important. I think the mindset there is not there for a lot of students. They don't really think about what decentralization really means, and until you get that point across and why it's interesting, then they finally understand and they get more involved. One of the coolest things I talk about when I go to universities is when I talk about VRFs, so verifiable random functions, or zero knowledge proofs. That's really cool. Cryptography and things like that, it really gets people excited. So I found that that's been one of the cooler things that students really key in on.
Let me share my opinion is there in that sense. At this moment, Malaysia youth is giving very good response to adopt the new technology. Reason behind government is very supportive. Government is taking lots of initiatives is there. But problem is coming, student mindset is there. There is a thing is there, top mindset goes to the public universities. That's a fact is there. Second is how much, I think it's not more than 5% student will get the only opportunity to go to public university. Right, Dr. Ridzuan? It may be 5% only talent of the Malaysia get the opportunity in public universities. Remaining is just only choice, 95% approx goes to in private universities is there. And as a research point of view, we do the analysis, what is the root causes there, why students are not doing well. Youth is not doing the well in your blockchain or any other technologies there. I have done the deep analysis of the curriculum is there, especially for schooling curriculum. I found that the mathematical skills are relatively weak. Logic building and programming point of view, mathematical skills is really weak. So there is a root cause is there. We should be identify, correctly take decisions. And we should be depend on experts to meet this gap is there. Then corresponding when they are entering in the universities is there, always we found that they are very good in terms of infrastructure services side. They are performing very good. Malaysians are performing very good in terms of infrastructure. Yeah. But whenever you give the programming aspects, they are losing the confidences there. We'll discuss a little bit in second round is there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, in the academic world, particularly, a more traditional way, I think there's a large gap between the industry and the universities. In the academic world, we will start introducing courses or even a diploma or certificate focusing on certain skills. But then, but knowledge is very limited out there on blockchain. There are a lot of hesitations still from the industry, but we need to overcome this. Maybe time will tell, time will change. Then the pressure to produce a blockchain developer will rise. I think there's only 5 or so the universities in the world that are basically starting, offering a blockchain to produce, a developer. But to say a real developer, again, this is a very difficult, task. Like being an accountant, what kind of accountant that you want to produce? Yeah, So in a Malaysian context, although we are progressing well, but I think there is still, a room of improvements. The industry should open up, change, and let the academics do their parts. Let me share you one how is from my experience, the industries from European industries, or particularly Germany. The industries is looking at the universities as source of innovations. Yeah, but you have to ask that question again in ASEAN context. Is that happening in this, in this part of the world? So, if we allowed the universities and the, and the industries in ASEAN to collaborate to produce right talents for the market, then there will be, a greater demand, more structured, and more holistic efforts from all parts of the agencies in Malaysia, or maybe Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, and Singapore.
Maybe I have a follow-up question with Dr. Ridzuan. So if you, usually there's a strong notion that the reason a lot of universities do not adopt new tech is because of all the lacking of standards, MQAs, and all these supporting elements for universities to adopt this. But I see you as a public university, I believe, is offering blockchain courses, so I think that's definitely one step ahead. So I would like to see from your view, how important is this, and why did you decide to take the leap of faith and start adopting blockchain courses in your university?
Well, the demand, the market is basically is still not well informed about this technology. Yeah, although it has been around, but it's not well informed. Yeah, if you remember how how the technology from the World War was used. Like Boeing, IBM was started during the World War, and it was used for war. Yeah, so that's the pressing reasons why this technology is adopted. So in this technology, we are seeing the there is no urgency. Although there is there is a demand, but there is no do or die factor. That you must do this, otherwise you collapse. Yeah? So there is no phrasing factor that forces all these companies to adopt this technology. So, having said that, the universities, being traditional, they would like to see some standards. They would like to see a structured demand, or full saturated demand in the market. Then they will structure the program. The local authorities, they are quite, they're quite receptive, but there is no demand that press that this is it. This is the product that we must educate our graduates.
Yeah, I think I might have a bit of the answer for what the reasons behind the demand is, because I would say the market is kind of confused. It was never a research-driven or an academic-driven technology. It was a people-driven. A lot of it was P2P kind of crypto-driven kind of industry where people build it, but they never documented properly, open source, and everybody just went up and started pitching blockchain as a crypto product. Everybody is now so confused because so many versions of blockchain. A lot of people are not even blockchain, they're pitching themselves as blockchain because blockchain sells. So in this case, there is a mass confusion. So when the industry want to adopt, they say, first of all, what exactly is blockchain? And there's no proper definitions and standards, so there's a lot of confusion towards, like how can these industries adopt, and where should the demand grow towards? So I think there was really some interesting thoughts over there. And just to put on, I think maybe we can move to the next question. So, yeah, also about certification programs. I mean, maybe we're going to touch a bit about it. You can see that in Malaysia, there are many different certification programs being offered, and some of them I feel is outright scams, where they give you a one-day, like a kind of a professional or a expert kind of a certification program. Do anybody want to actually give up some opinions or on this? Yeah.
Actually, there are two aspects there. One is people are doing just marketing and business point of view rather than education point of view. They want to capture what is the market requirement is there, and they offer the lots of courses is there. Another thing, here in Malaysia, HRDF is offering lots of courses. So people will join HRDF approved courses, and sometimes it's happened that under HRDF, they have taken the approval, and maybe content and depth is not properly analyzed. That's another big challenge is there. And let me share my experience as a university. Last year, I have taken the decision when I have just joined the university to modify the curriculum and implement the IR 4.0. We have built the lots of documentation is there. When we have communicated to MQA, MQA has lots of explanation. We have done 1 round, 2 round, then correspondingly, finally we got the approval process. So that's very complicated process is there to get the approval from MQA. So until unless government will not show the flexibility in terms of body supporting point of view, then it's very difficult for the universities is there. Another big challenge is there, whatever we are teaching, whatever curriculum you have designed, blockchain, you will not get anything that is world level, which is a standard is there, and no anybody is there which is offering any standard certification is there. Even some extent, ISO have started towards taken some step. They are discussing, and maybe in another few weeks or few months, they will be propose some standard certifications is there. Some extent, it will be solve the problem. Yes.
But this problem is not only in the blockchain industry, it's also in the IoT, big data, AI, all of them actually face the same problem. So I had once a person who came to me and he was pitching me an IoT solution, and I was like, on what network it's running, and he was like, couldn't able to answer me. I was like, are you using Zigbee, LoRaWAN? He never heard of it before. So I will say that they don't really get a lot of this, the technology terms, but they are already been recognized an expert. So the problem begins when these same experts using their titles started to go to government offices, MNCs, and started to pitch, and they pitched the wrong product and end up building some wrong product as well. So this became a kind of a challenge for the whole industry, where if it goes wrong, they will not invest in it again. So moving on, I think maybe we move on to what Dr. Liew, Dr. Liew was mentioning about how he's working with the industry. Maybe we can talk about how the industry is actually embracing IR 4.0.
Yeah. For me, I have some personal experience with the industry, because I'm seeing that a lot of big players are coming into the industry. For example, IBM, they have started something like food safety program together with Walmart. So you can trace the food, the originality of the food, and also where does it come from. For example, you drink this bottle of mineral water, where does it produce? So when you scan the QR, you know where does it come from if we use the blockchain technology. So already there are use cases. And in Malaysia, there are a few companies, they are also looking into blockchain. For example, I've been approached by Tanchong Motors to look at their supply chain management. There are some Tanchong people here also today. So actually they have a very advanced, what I call that, program for training the staff. They have very robust staff development program for all kinds of subjects, including IoT, machine learning, but only lack of blockchain. So I'm designing a blockchain module for them. So I'm seeing a lot of corporations are coming into this industry because maybe fear of losing out. And also, in the foreign country, a lot of big industry already using blockchain, implement blockchain as part of the solution, maybe as a hybrid system. In healthcare, in tracing diamond, there's one diamond, I call it Everledger. You can trace the diamond. Where does it come from? Where does it mine? So you can even see from which country these diamonds are not so good and all that. So you can, all kind of luxurious good, you can be traced by blockchain. So there are many, it's suitable for all kind of businesses, for healthcare, for insurance, for ID management, for banking, for financial services. And for me personally, I'm looking into cross-border money transfer because I have good network in Nepal and also Bangladesh. In Nepal, I'm working with a bank to explore into this cross-border money transfer, but we have to wait for regulation from our SC and bank, central bank. So there are many users. So a lot of industries should train their employee to expose them about blockchain.
So anybody else want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'd like to give a kind of an international viewpoint. I believe that a lot of corporations are realizing it's definitely a threat. I was just talking to one of our one of the projects I'm advising, which is under NDA, but I mean they're in the music space, and in the music space right now, artists make about 12 to 15 cents on a dollar, and it's an extremely unfair system. And then, but you actually have from China, Elastos is based in China, Tencent is literally coming to the table and saying, what can we do to embrace blockchain? Because if you think about it, it makes no sense. Why would a company that's making 80% of the profits change? It's because there's a threat to their model, and they know it's coming. So that's definitely going to happen. I was speaking to what Dr. Darun was saying. Is there an existential threat to some of these businesses? And there is. It's coming. I personally know projects that have hundreds of thousands of users, in this case artists, moving to blockchain. When that actually happens, it's going to open the floodgates, because eventually you're going to get to a point where people kind of realize, if I don't adapt now, I'm going to get left behind. I'm going to be playing catch up. So there will be some sort of critical mass that we are building towards, where imagine for financial, I was having a chat back in Vancouver, and Wes gave me a talk earlier, but regardless, a chat about identity, and right now there's all these hacks going on. Imagine with the blockchain, if you can control your own identity and your data, and you would then pass the liability of protecting data from the big corporations that are getting hacked to the user. Imagine how much of a big epiphany that would be to companies to say, hey, if you went to a bank and you can bring your own identity, the bank would love that, because now they're not responsible for your identity. If they don't have to be worried about getting hacked because you've taken on that liability. And so imagine that first bank that offers that ability for people to bring their own identity and manage their own data. What kind of precedent that will set for all the other banks that are not doing this? So there will be a first mover, and I believe after that it will be an existential threat.
Well, I got two thoughts on this. Number one is although IR 4.0 is the next competitive advantage for certain or for some companies or for some countries even. For Malaysia, we need this, IR 4.0. But not all countries will need this. The reality is it is expensive.
Yes.
It is expensive. So for us, we are still the economy or the industry. If you look around, Indonesians probably they are at the 2.0. We are probably already 3, but moving towards.
Yes.
But but do we need this? What it means, it's good if we want to be a developed country. So we need this 4.0. But for some countries, they still need 2.0 because mass, volume, price, cost still matters. It's just not the only way to make money in this current economy. But like I said, I'm support 4.0 blockchain, but it's not the solution for all.
Jishan?
Yeah, I believe that first we need to understand when we talk about certification, like some people don't know very deep into blockchain, but they still get a certificate. I think we have to separate the certification into the strategy part. That means if you're a business people, you just want to get to know what is blockchain, how it can be applied, the philosophy of it, that is actually the strategy part. Then for development itself also we have the DApps. DApps itself is actually like because there's like a protocol layer, there's a networking layer, and the application layer. So some people knows how to build an iOS app, but they have no idea how the iPhone works itself. So we have to see how to separate more different segment of it.
Actually, to put on that exactly what the challenge we faced last year. So we actually did exactly that. So we have a lot of the courses that we offer. It's mainly for business, for banking, for like supply chain for supply chain. Then we also have specific for developers, which is like Ethereum for Ethereum, and fundamentals trainings. So in this case, I think this is we're trying to looking out for models out there where everybody teach everything that students are confused in the end. You don't know what you're really talking about. And the issue is because nobody went in and figured out the fundamentals. Actually, I think everything needs to start from the base layer, like universities and everybody approach as well. I like the idea where you prepare them with the base and then you build above that.
And actually, to add that itself, blockchain is not like some very new technology. In fact, blockchain, the concept itself came out like in 1998. Nick Szabo with the BitGold and all that slowly becomes Bitcoin. The same technology is being used, just that now we need to see in what situation we really need the decentralization. Not all data needs to be put on this decentralized network, and only important information that needs to be open or needs to be traced back needs to be on blockchain. Otherwise, actually, it's just a technology that we are already using. We just need to transform it into blockchain when it is really needed.
So I think since we're on the final minute now, so if you can see that, to conclude, I can see the cost of actually reskilling is high. So a lot of universities, a lot of companies and corporates I see is rather to go on a fresh graduate with that skill than reskilling their old expensive employees and kind of giving the certification, which I feel in a way is not the right move as well. Because in a way you're basically kind of not giving the opportunity to your already loyal existing staff. So I think this is something that I wanted to point out as well, that we should have good reskilling programs as well. And I think a lot of universities are working towards having this kind of small training arms where they do reskilling. And then I think even private trainings, like maybe even TriveAcademy and maybe SIR's incubation hub will be able to provide a lot of these reskilling programs in future. And other than that, it's definitely, we spoke about certification and standards. I think it's working. Since I'm on the committee, so I should say that things are happening. Malaysia is playing its parts to be in the committee to actually contribute ideas, and we have usually weekly updates. In terms of, we always kind of criticize the government for not doing enough, but we never kind of appreciate on what they have done and what are the good things we have done. And I think the current DKN 2030 policy movement where we are embracing to develop more talent, focusing on talent development and entrepreneur development is something that we should applaud. And also if you really look into how even the MDEC initiative of growing talent from school to even universities and providing support for new courses curation is also something that I think we should applaud, and something good is happening in Malaysia. Is there any final thoughts, or I think we can end the panel?
I just want to say one more thing is there. As universities, we should be come out with the demonstration of the blockchain. Actually, everyone is talking about the blockchain is there, but exactly, people are not aware, have not seen demonstration of the blockchain is there. One thing universities can do it to issue the digital certification using blockchain. And so that's why if anyone is applying for Canada PR or any other thing, documentation authentication is required. That is so easy if it is implemented at national level is there.
Yeah, definitely. Just on the end note, not everybody need to learn blockchain, because there's definitely going to be service providers. Something like even we are developing right now, we are building a whole supply chain suite where nobody needs to learn blockchain. You just click and select your own blockchain on it. We call it Verifizer, something we are building towards as well. And I think on that note, maybe I can pass it to MC. Sorry.
Let me add a little bit the last one. So in fact that even TriveAcademy itself, we actually work on a way to actually digitize the certificate itself. Even all of you here will soon get one blockchain certificate that is already in TriveChain. So all speakers of Bloconomic, we already blockchain all their certificates, and it can actually be available on TriveChain itself. So that is a use cases that in future you ask back is like, did you went to the Bloconomic? Yes, this is the asset, so you can show in blockchain and stuff. So that is actually one of the use cases where we actually do SDK that you don't need to know blockchain, you just need to apply the APIs.
Yeah, I just want to touch on what Harpreet just mentioned about the having a good, sustainable pool of blockchain experts in your company. Now, because of course reskilling is needed, but you need some fresh graduates in your pipeline so that you can sustain the business or even expand the business so that you could really benefited blockchain technology for whatever business that you do. But I think not only depending on one or two guys on the blockchain, but you need maybe more professional, more expert. Maybe some of them are maybe beginners, some even intermediate. So you have varieties, and you can basically flourish. When there is an opportunity that coming to you companies.
Actually, I think there's going to be around 6 to 7 universities next year which are providing some sort of content. And I see the way they structure it is going to be following the, as you said, it's going to be variety focusing on different areas. Everything from accountancy, finance, banking, developers. So we got everybody's covered. I think it's going to be, I like the way it's actually going ahead. Do we have time for taking questions from the audience? Yeah. So, okay. 2 questions, yeah? So we have time for 2 questions. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
So I just want to add one thing, last thing too, is just, from the global perspective, I've flown like 100 times, literally, in the last year and a half. I've seen it all, and you guys really have shown a lot of promise. I mean, you guys really, everything you've done to now, it's extremely enlightening to see this happen. In the U.S., we're way behind you guys. And I think I just came back from Thailand and Philippines. It's really just getting started. So you guys got to keep up this momentum, and I think it will be a huge differentiator for Malaysia in the future.
I mean, Malaysia usually always get left out on the discussion because we have a sexier neighbor. So everybody goes to Singapore and Thailand or everywhere else. So we don't usually get called in the discussions. So we usually need to earn our way to the table. And I'll say thanks to all the community's effort who actually went out to do trainings, education, free, burn all their money to go and basically build up and kickstart the ecosystem. Over time, you can see that it actually picked up. It actually became quite fruitful, and today we can see there is some movement. But we cannot stop here. We definitely have to grow much further, do more, and keep the momentum going from here.
Totally.
Yeah. Is there any
Thank
questions? I think there's evening session so that everybody's shy to ask questions. Is there anything else from the panel you guys want to show since we have time? Yeah.
For information, E3 Hubs is going to build a blockchain hub around KL area in Philippines and Vietnam. We are building a blockchain academy. So we are train entrepreneurs, especially for entrepreneurs. So I encourage everyone to join. Of course, you have to charge a fee. Maybe you can pay by cryptocurrency. We are creating our native token currency. Yeah, we will announce later of the year. Thank you.
So, any more? That's all, yeah? So I think we'll end the panel. Thank you.
To video, All right. Thank you so much. Guys, give it up for our panelists and our moderator. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Harpreet. Thank you so much.